music is trippy. Like, what's up? What's up with this music, Eddie? Eddie, the producer, picks the music out. I don't get to hear it beforehand. So happy Labor Day to you all. I hope you're having a fantastic longer weekend and you're going to enjoy your Monday off. I hope you're one of the people that actually gets to enjoy their Monday off. I will not. I will be working. I'm always working. So we're going to be talking about what was said by Jerome Powell, Mr. Fedman, several months back in 2022, and what's going on with the housing market currently, because this isn't what his whole plan was, and that's not what he had made in his original statements. So we're going to be looking over an article, and we're going to be answering your questions. We do not have a guest today. It's just me and you talking about the housing market. So I hope you enjoy that. And so before we get into it, I just want to say hi to the people that have joined us already. I want to say hi to Crow Homestead, was here right at the top of the hour. And then V-Man has come in with his first question. We will be answering that. Lawnmower's here. Debbie Brady, welcome. Fuzzy Dice is here. And MH08, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you this fine Sunday. We might be hearing a little bit of rain in the background. Because I heard some thunder in the background, and it is a pleasure to hear rain. We haven't had rain, which is very unusual in South Louisiana this time of year. We usually have flood warnings, and all we've been getting is just some sprinkles, and the ground's been very dry, so made me really nervous. So no guest. Okay, yeah, no guest today, Debbie. It's just us chatting it up, which I enjoy because I like answering everybody's questions. So make sure you put in lots of questions today. Just put in the word question, and then put the word question and then followed by the question that you have. And then I will get to it. Eddie will put it up on the screen. Do you know what always happens? I have to tell you this always cracks me up. So I'll say this throughout the stream, everybody put in their questions. And just when I'm about to wrap it up, then all of a sudden this flood of questions come in. And I'm like, I gotta go. I got dinner to make. It's Sunday. So, all right. Well, I hope everybody's going to have a fantastic weekend. I hope people aren't, are going to go have some barbecue and stuff, and that you don't have to go to work. That would be awful. So, and if you can get the first article on the screen, I would greatly appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. It's the Forbes tab. Forbes. Hey, Bob, how's it going? All right. Rebounding home prices in 2023 aren't following the Fed script, and here's why. All right. I'm going to tell you what he said. So back in, oh God, I want to say it was like January of last year. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage is at 7%. This is what the article says. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage is above 7%, further denting the housing affordability, which we all know it's been awful. Just for a few years, for similar mortgages carried around 3% interest. Simple logic suggests that ballooning mortgage spending would raise effective home pricing for many people, hurting home values. But there's currently an important offset trend to reduce the supply. It's reduced supply. So back in the middle of last year, Jerome Powell got on stage and said, we're going to have to tamper inflation. It's going to hurt lots of Americans. And they have the goal of, I think it was 2% for inflation rate. But they said what his goal was is that we needed to reduce the amount of jobs currently happening in the United States, that we needed to lose like he kept saying another 1 million jobs, but that never happened. So jobs continued to happen and people weren't losing their jobs. But his comment was, as this plan goes through, more and more people, the housing problem will ease. So if you read between the lines, from what I was hearing, was he was hoping that enough people, at least 4 million people, lost their job. At least half of those would have a mortgage and they wouldn't be able to afford to pay for it, and that they would have to put their house on the market. Well, here we are in 2023, and that isn't looking like it's happening. Even though the interest rates on mortgages have gone up, that caused less sales of homes, which you would think automatically in your brain, well, that should bring down home prices. No, well, more and more people are not even putting their house up for sale, because who's going to buy another house when your mortgage rate is at 7% and you have less than 3% on your mortgage? So anyways, The simple logic suggests that ballooning mortgage spending would raise effective home pricing for many people, hurting home values. But there's a curtain important offset to the trend to reduce its supply. Despite falling home prices for much of 2022, the rebound somewhat in 2023, it appears the rising interest costs are denting demand for housing, but not the reduction of supply for homeowners holding on to properties at lower rates. It appears to offset the softening demand for now. So, like, if we break that down, basically, no one's going to sell their house if they have a mortgage payment that is like under 3%. Home affordability, has tracked by Atlanta Federal Reserve, is now at lows not seen since before the financial crisis of 2008. Yes, prices have risen ahead of incomes in recent years, but rising mortgage costs as the Fed raises interest rates are the primary driver for the reduction in affordability in 2021. No, it's a lack of supply that's causing that. That is not true. There's not a supply of houses. They can't reduce this. You can't reduce if there isn't any homes for sale and they're not building any. That's what's causing home prices to go up. The decline of affordability to these low levels on Atlanta's Fed's data of 2006 to 2007 did not cause absolute declines in home prices over subsequent years. Initially, it was the trend for the most of 2022 as home prices fell, but they have rebounded nationally on most metrics in 2023 so far. Through the West Coast and neighboring states are still seeing some falling annual prices. So yeah, so if you go like there's some places like in Oregon and San Francisco, San Diego, they've seen some lowering prices, but I mean those prices are already outside like insane to begin with. Most people can't afford the home prices that are out there. Lower inventory may be driving this trend. Zillow compares lower inventory may be driving this trend. It is. Zillow compares current listing levels to pre-pandemic averages and finds that for July of 2023, listings are materially below pre-pandemic levels. You don't say. For all major markets, part of this is maybe home buyers with attractive fixed rate mortgages in place compared to current rates choosing to stay put, like what I just said. That is crazy. In fact, Zillow research found that only 21% of homeowners with a mortgage rate below 5% are considering selling, compared to 38% with those mortgages costing 5%, above 5%. Those locked into those low rate mortgages are almost half as likely to be selling their homes. Yes, housing demand may be weaker, but the reduced supply may be offsetting that currently. Maybe offsetting it? It's obvious. Home prices are still continuing to go up. If they go down just like a little bit, because I think, it depends on what metric you're looking at. Some people say the median income, the median price home right now, as the highest I've seen is $428, and the lowest I've seen right now is $408. So $20,000 in the grand scheme of things is, the fact that the median price home is over $400,000 and the median income for a family of four, I'm going to be generous and say it's $80,000, right? $80,000. And you can look this up. That's still quadruple a year's worth of pay. And that's if they, oh my God, so crazy. Famed investor Warren Buffett may be seeing this trend too. His company, Berkshire Hathaway, is picking up shares in various U.S. home builders, according to recent filings. Perhaps he is betting on home prices may hold up better than the market fears, although these investments are small in context of his overall portfolio. Hey, did you guys know that Warren Buffett owns Clayton Homes, which is one of the biggest manufactured home companies in the United States? He owns that. Anyways, regional variations, of course, that a lot of the strength in the U.S. home prices is driven by the East Coast and Midwest. The West Coast, including Nevada, Arizona, and Texas, is seeing worse affordability trends in general and softer prices. Prices are estimated to be up around 4% year on year in the markets such as Chicago, Cleveland, but they fallen more than 8% in Las Vegas and 10% in San Francisco. Las Vegas had a lot more construction than other areas of the United States. Like Austin, Texas had a lot more construction. Like those areas that had a lot of construction are seeing the biggest amounts of reduction in home prices, but they're still holding firm. Like I would have thought like places like Phoenix and Nevada would have dropped a lot more than they did, and they did not. There's a chance the Federal Reserve will move rates higher later this year. This would also move mortgage costs up too, though we can be pretty close to the top of the interest rate cycle. Plus, bear in mind, markets' expectations about how the Fed will act are already factoring into long-term mortgage costs. So only unexpected actions from the Fed should increase mortgage rates. Hence, the medium-term view is mortgage costs may fall from here should the Fed cut rates more than expected in 2024, if possible, inflation wanes. So let me just put it this way. And this is one of those things that I saw Barbara Corcoran, who is a real estate mogul. She was on Shark Tank. She shares the same exact thoughts as I do. The problem is if mortgage rates dip even lower. So if we get like down in the 5s or even like high 4s, like I'm dreaming right now, it's not going to help our problem with the home prices. Even though people will keep saying, oh, well, homes are more affordable because the interest rates went down. But if the cost of the home, the cost of the median home can't meet the cost of people's middle-class incomes for a starter home, let's just put it that way, we have a big problem. And those home prices are going to continue to increase if interest rates for mortgages go down, because it's going to be another frenzy of people that are trying to buy houses again. And if you have cheap money, investors start really, saliva, like dripping, like, ooh, I got cheap money now. I can buy more real estate properties, and they just turn them into rentals. So the Fed didn't think this was going to happen. Once they raised the rates the first time and interest rates went up for mortgages and the housing market was going into freeze, they were like, yep, this is where we want it to go. And then so people just quit buying, and he was like, oh, well, home prices didn't come down. I just I don't know. I don't think he contacted or tried to even think about talking to somebody in the real estate field, because when he said that, I was like, that makes no sense. You're really counting on the fact that all these people that might lose their job to have a house. Like, what are you thinking, dude? This isn't 2008. It's not the same kind of housing market. Like, people aren't in wacky mortgages. Like, the federal government has made buying a house so incredibly difficult that not everybody can get a house. So what this isn't a good plan. And sure enough, here we are sitting into the fall, and I was right. Anyways, V-Man's question, it says, I saw a short sale and it said that the lender had a bid on the property, and to get our bid in by 9/5/2023. Is this possible for the lender to do that? So with short sales, anybody can bid on them. It's not like a HUD home. So if they're saying, look, we already have a bid in from a bank, you have to get yours in at a certain time. Yeah, it's almost like an auction type situation. So yeah, absolutely. They can say everybody's offers have to come in by X amount this date, whether it comes from an investor or not. Now, only when you're dealing with auction properties that are through HUD that specify like no investors for 14 days. We won't even consider your bid until the 14th day. That could change, then that's different. They can't accept an investor prior to that. But with a short sale, it's very possible. So stagflation. I was calling it the what was I? Yeah, I wasn't calling it what was I calling it? Stagflation? What was I calling it? Oh, the Eddie, what was it that I was calling it? I can't remember. I was calling it something because I was like, nobody's gonna move. No one. It's just gonna be a Yeah, I guess I was calling it stagnation. I didn't remember what I thought I called it something else, but I knew that was going to happen, that home prices would just kind of meander. Some will fall, but most of them would just kind of stay where they're at, and just peter along until, interest rates like went lower. And every time that they drop just a scotch, all of a sudden the phone starts ringing again. People start applying for mortgages again. There's a lot of people, there is a ton of pent up demand, and it's always the first time home buyers. If you look to see who's purchasing homes, it's first time home buyers. Those are the ones that are still keeping the market running right now. So nice of the Fed to wish for 4 million of us to lose our jobs to keep and keep a happy thought. I know that. And he said, and then so the reporter asked him, by the way, during that meeting, he's like, so, I mean, like, what are you saying here? You're saying that 4 million people have to lose their job. He's like, look, this is going to be very painful. And I realize that, but we have to get this course corrected in order to tamper down this spending. In order to tamper down this spending, there's going to be some major shifts that need to happen. And some of that's going to be people losing their job. He said that. I didn't say it. He did. And I was like, you're just, and then he told the other reporter, this will help with the housing market. I'm like, you're just counting on the fact that the jobs that are reduced are going to be the same people that own a house. Like, he's got to remember that a lot of millennials who are in their 30s, late 30s, don't have a house. Like, they really don't, so you're looking at your Gen Xers and your baby boomers to not be able to, like lose their job. And what I don't, sometimes I wonder what he's thinking or who's talking to him, because he doesn't, when it comes to the housing market, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But anyways, Sandy in Arizona says, why would I sell my home at 3% interest in exchange for 7%? You're exactly right. Plus the $50,000 to pay to the real estate agents. The seller whose home I want to make an offer on won't lower the price by $50K. Sadly, I can't move. Just FYI, and I'm a real estate agent, you don't have to use a real estate agent to purchase a home. You don't have to use a real estate agent to buy a home. Somebody asked me that last week. They're like, oh, I think for sale by owners are going to be the death of real estate agents. And I'm like, no, they've always been around. You don't have to. And not only that, another thing that everybody in the chat needs to know, this, your commission that you pay when you sign that listing agreement, that's negotiable. If they say you have to pay X amount of dollars for listing your house, and they say, oh, and that's because everybody in the area does it for that, that's considered price fixing. They can't do that. That commission is negotiable. Real estate agents don't want you to know that. And I'm a realtor. I'm telling you that it's negotiable. It is negotiable. Question. What do you think of the Zillow home loans at 1% down payment program for lower income people in Arizona? I haven't looked into it. I know my friend Javier Vaidana, who's been on the channel, he did a video about that, and he's gone into that a little bit deeper. Anytime that, I will say this, if you live in a rural area, it behooves you to go ahead and look at a rural development loan. They are available to you. You'd be surprised how many areas are considered rural development. You don't even have to put any money down. It's like, just look into those. I would strongly suggest it. I don't have an opinion about Zillow's home loan program because I haven't actually looked at it because I'm not in Arizona, but I'll take a look at it, Crow. I'll take a look at it and give you my opinion next week. I need to write that down. This is my handy filing system. My credit card statement. Bank of America 1% loan program. Hey, Eddie, why don't you do this? Why don't you pull it up on the screen so we can take a look at it together? We can all make a decision. All right. Suzanne says, are there agents who specialize in auction real estate? Thank you. Yes, there is. Yeah, there is. We'll look at this article in just a minute, Eddie. But So if you go and call around to different offices, you can ask them who specializes. Usually they specialize in foreclosure auctions. So just say, who's your foreclosure specialist in the office? And if they go, well, I don't know who, oh, let me see who. No, just hang up the phone and call another office. There are offices, and even in our area, there's two that's all they do is list foreclosure auction homes. And that's the office you want to deal with. That's the one you want to deal with. Okay, so Zillow home loans. All right, Eddie, where's the article for the 1%? The 1% loan? The conventional loan is 3%. VA loan. Oh, their down payment is 3%. Okay. It's just hard to read with my little eyes here. I gotta get my glasses. Don't laugh at me. They make me look like there. Thank you, Dad. Yeah, it's just a down payment. But this was a specific loan he was talking about for people in Arizona. If you can find an article about that, it'd be greatly appreciative. Yes, indeed. I've heard more and more people asking about assumable loans too, but just know that if you're going to assume somebody's mortgage, you're going to have to pay the difference. So let's just say if you find somebody, they have a 3% and they're asking 250,000 and you're like, yay, yeah, that works out great. And they have, let's say 2.8% and you're like, well, I could do that. But they only owe 200,000. Just know that you're going to have to come up with that $50,000 out of your own pocket to pay them for the difference in the price. You'll assume their mortgage, but you'll have to, pay that out of your pocket. In some cases, that's going to be a lot more than 50,000. So, Eddie got one with that. Okay, here it is. Zillow launches a 1% down payment in a program in Arizona. Here we go. Traditionally, lenders require 3% down on a $300,000 home. That's $9,000. How it works. The program requires buyers to pay 1% upfront, while Zillow Home Loans contributes 2% down at closing. Between the lines, eligible borrowers must be first-time home buyers who make no more than 80% of the area median income. That's about $70,000 for a family of four in Phoenix. That's pretty median for the United States. A new Zillow survey found that 39% of U.S. home buyers this year used a gift from family and friends to afford their down payment. The difference is, though, when you get a gift from a family member, most of the time they're giving it to you. And then if you're going to be borrowing this from Zillow, they're not giving it to you. There's no free lunch. You're going to pay down the road. Okay, what they're saying, for those who can't afford higher rent payments, but have the held back by upfront costs associated with home ownership, down payment assistance can help those with a lower barrier to entry to make the dream of owning a home a reality, said Zillow Home Loans. The smaller down payment means a larger loan, which when coupled with mortgage rates nearly 8%, means a hike in monthly payments for hundreds of dollars. So yeah, you're in either way, you're going to pay it back. They're not giving it to you. They're just basically helping you with the down payment, but it's not really help because they're throwing it back in the loan. They're a government-backed program for the first-time home buyers worth considering as well. What's next? The company is offering a program in Arizona for now, but hopes to expand in other states. If you're interested, there's the phone number. I I guess if you were really desperate to find a house, I don't know. I don't like financing small amounts of money that's going to end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars down the road. Like you borrowed, this 1% from Zillow, right? And you have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And then what does that look like down the road? How much did you really borrow from them? Is it 100,000 because you borrowed that 1%, 30 years from now? We'll see. The interest rate was variable. Oh, Crow said the interest rate is variable. The borrower will have to pay a private mortgage insurance, which is an additional cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars to the monthly payment. Hundreds of dollars to the monthly payment. Oh, Okay. Yeah. I don't get yourself an RD loan. That's what I'd say. Yeah. Zillow doesn't do anything, out of the bottom of their hearts because they're really trying to help homeowners. Everybody's looking to get more money out of you in one way, shape, or form. Mr. Thomas said, I heard of some states and cities that are giving away LABD and houses with conditions where population is going down. Have you heard of this? So, yeah, I've actually heard of this in Detroit. They were actually selling homes for $5. They were auctioning off houses, but they were dilapidated. Like they needed a lot of work to help certain areas because they were trying to do is shrink this city. So they were offering these houses closer to like where like most people were living. So they didn't want it spread out because you have to have fire services, police services. So they were like, hey, instead of you living in this neighborhood where there's only like 5 houses, why don't you go to this neighborhood that we're building up and it's actually working, and many areas of Detroit have come back. So yeah, I've heard of it. It's very possible. Very possible. DB Douglas says, question, should someone be their own contractor, hopefully cash building a little house on their paid land? Thanks. I always say, if you're in over your head, always ask for help. If you have some knowledge in being your own contractor, I'd say go for it, right? But if you're in over your head, it doesn't hurt to help, ask for help. You can even have a consultation with a contractor prior to hiring them, and that can teach you a lot. So then you'll even know even more if that's something you want to tackle on your own. Me personally, I mean, I've done my fair share of flipping houses with my husband, and it's a learning lesson. It ends up being very expensive because we make a lot of stupid mistakes because we didn't know what we were doing. So I mean, it's up to you. I mean, honestly, if you have the know-how, you've been in construction for a while, you understand about plumbing and lighting and all that kind of stuff, and you understand about surveys and you're really into that, yeah, go for it. But if you're a complete novice to it, Kristina says no. Kristina says no. Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay. Question. Can we buy the interest down? If so, how much would how much would we have to put down 50% to get maybe a 5% mortgage? Scooter, you're going to have to talk to an actual mortgage lender, and they have to go over your W-2s, all your financials in order to tell you what you qualify for. And then they'll make that decision like with you. There's definitely different loan packages. Not only that, I would strongly suggest, and I tell everybody this, whenever you're meeting with a mortgage lender, don't just meet with one, meet with several. And some people say, well, I'm worried about my credit score. They put that into perspective when they're pulling your credit to purchase a house. They know that you're shopping, different companies, different people, different rates. And so I strongly suggest talking to more than one. I would say go talk to your credit union, talk to a mortgage broker, and then talk to somebody your friend suggested. Talk to all 3 of those people so they can go over your financials and tell you what loan program works for you. And if you should even buy down your rate before you purchase, just FYI. Next question, please. All right, Peter, what we got here? How will resumption of a student loans repayments impact the real estate market? Well, hopefully it would help a lot of millennials who have terrible debt when it comes to college. I don't know. If enough people have that repayment, that will open up a cash for them to purchase a house. But if we have a low supply of homes on the market and they're getting more expensive, I don't know how much that can really affect the housing market unless they have like a big nest egg of money that they're able to put down on a house. The supply of homes is the biggest problem. And it's not the builder's fault that they haven't been building enough homes, but it's been happening since after the last crash. A lot of home builders really, had to suck it up, and some of them went out of business because they built so many homes anticipating that many people would be purchasing. And they did for a period of time, but they overbuilt. And then they were left holding the bag. So a lot of those builders went bankrupt. A lot of them that came back, said, well, we're only going to build what we know we can sell in a year. We average about 35 homes a year. So we're going to build 35 homes a year instead of the 100 that they used to build and hopefully sell. They don't want to sit on inventory that can't sell. And even today, if they are getting close to the end of the year and they haven't sold their inventory, they're selling them to investors, and they'll sell a whole street just to an investor, just to get rid of it off their books. So I don't blame them, because why would they want to eat that cost? Not only that, the price of home building now is so expensive that more and more people are looking to buy a house that isn't brand new, because you can get more square footage when you're not buying brand new in a lot of states and a lot of areas. So those home builders are actually taking more of a reduction than people that have a house that's already been built. They're giving more incentive. So, that is a good thing for you. If you are looking for a house, definitely look at new home builds before you, jump in on a house. So just to see what they have to offer. And don't think because it's brand new that it's not negotiable. Everything's negotiable. And if you want something in your brand new house and it's already built, doesn't mean it's the end all be all in the price, or at least some kind of incentive for you to purchase their home. So I went on a rant there. Sorry. Hold on. Mark says, Milwaukee Brewers want $500 million to upgrade the baseball stadium and zero for affordable housing. Isn't that the way? So there's so many times that I'm like, when people say we can't afford to do this. We can't afford to do this for affordable housing. We can't afford to do this for the homeless. I don't want my money to go that. But the minute that like a baseball team wants a new field, then that's totally fine. And before you bash me, I'm not a sports fan. My husband needs sports friends. Poor guy. He all the time is asking me. He's like, hey, did you see that Deion Sanders? I'm like, is this sports? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't care. But I would much rather that $500 million go to affordable housing options. It's one of those things that I can't understand why other people are so against it. Like they literally will clearly vote against affordable housing because they say that it brings on more crime. But do you know what else brings on more crime? Homelessness. And homelessness is growing across the country. Doesn't matter what city you are in. You could be in the smallest town in USA, and we have an exploding homelessness problem because we don't have enough housing. So, we need to stop voting against this stuff and allow for more affordable housing options for people. So, anyway, that's my little soapbox there. PB&J says, what does an eviction look like for someone who is disabled and the lender repurchased the home at foreclosure at auction? Will they notify? Is the court hearing with a judge granting the eviction? So whether they're disabled or not, if you are being foreclosed on by a lender, you get they actually knock on your door. It's like you get summons to let you know you're being foreclosed on. And then they put a sticker on the window, a big pink sticker. It might be a different color in your state, but they'll say that, this is a foreclosure process. You're handed paperwork. Before that even happens, you get a letter like every week to 2 weeks of like, hey, you haven't paid. Where's the money? You're starting to get phone calls if you haven't paid. Once that's gone through that whole entire process and they have made the court date and the lender's about to buy it back, it depends on the state when they say that they can actually go into the house. Most states say, okay, we can go into the house now. And then the police department or whatever organization in that area that takes care of it, sometimes it's the justice of the peace, removes all the belongings all at one time, puts a lock on the door, and that's the end of it. They're like disabled or not, they don't care. That's just, it's harsh reality, but they really don't. And they'll just let you just sit there while they're dumping out all your stuff in the street. I've seen it happen with this lady who had rent, and then an investor bought bought the condominiums there, and he increased her rent double what she was paying. And she was like, I can't afford to do that. And he evicted her. And she's like, I have nowhere to go. I was paying, $700 a month here in Austin. And she's like, I can't find where else to live. She was 78 years old. Where was she going to go? And then to get onto the wait list was ridiculous. She's like, I think I'm going to commit a crime, so they'll put me in jail so I have somewhere to stay. I mean, it was the saddest thing I've ever seen. But I mean, we have no safety nets anymore. We just don't. Harry Real Estate Realist says, hi, is it legal to allow someone to refinance your mortgage in their name? I have a friend who's a home investor, is an investor name, but her husband's name is on the deed. She let investors refinance her mortgage. I don't know what state this is in, but we couldn't do that. Like in our state, I would legally have to allow, like, the home sellers, the people that are on the deed have to all be a part of it. You can't just refinance someone else's house unless everybody that was part of that deed prior is signing off on it. Like, it wouldn't go through title work. I don't know how it worked in that state that you're in, but I would, if someone's not really happy about that, I would get an attorney involved ASAP. And if they have title insurance on there, go ahead and look at that. That sounds super fishy. Super fishy. That's what Debbie Brady said. Question: how do you feel about giving contractors 50% up front for a turnover, even if you provide all the materials? When did this become a thing? So construction draws are different. Whenever we were building our home, it was in thirds. So they would get 1/3 of the construction costs to start the project. Then once that 1/3 was complete, then the loan company came out, made sure everything was complete so they could get their next draw, which was another third of the loan. So then they finished off the house. Once it was finished, then another third was done. I've never heard of it as 50%. I mean, are you paying for it cash and they're asking for 50%, or you have a loan? Because I don't even know if a loan company would give. I'm more than certain a loan company wouldn't even give 50% of the cost of the house prior to them scraping the dirt. That doesn't even. That's another thing that sounds a little fishy. It sounds a little fishier. Kristina says no. Yeah. PB&J says, question: would I appear at the eviction court? How many days do they give to move out? Does the eviction affect your credit report in addition to the foreclosure credit rate? Let me just say, your state is going to give you the requirements for that. You should have appeared in court for your. If you have a mortgage, that's different than eviction. And usually it's 30 days. If it was foreclosed on, the minute the court hearing's done, it's done. You're out. But if you're renting, right? If you're renting and the guy who had the mortgage was foreclosed on, again, it's like the minute it's done, they just kick you out. But it depends on your state that you live in. I think in California, I mean, it takes forever to get you out, whether it's been foreclosed on or not. They have squatters' rights like nobody else. I think it takes an act of Congress to get you out of that house. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Eddie will put it up on the screen. All right. Question. I'm going to rephrase it. He says, folks got to start making their monthly debt payments on their student loans for the first time in 3 years. Will that impact real estate? Most of those people that have student loans don't have a house. I'm going to be completely honest with you. A lot of millennials don't own homes. I do not believe it's going to cause a big foreclosure problem. Some of these people might be evicted from their homes that they rent, but one of the smallest generations of people to own homes is millennials. And those are also the people with the highest student loan debt. So I don't see it causing a big ruckus in the real estate market. Microchurch says, Kristina, I appreciate your research and application in the real estate industry. Your brilliance and thinking power is phenomenal. Phenomenal. You're helping us tremendous way. I'm glad I'm helping you, Mike. I'm wondering which videos have been the most helpful. One of my favorite videos to do are the ones that really like peel back the curtain of what they do to like pull the wool over our eyes. Because then once I like start, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many people don't know this. I bet there's a good bunch of them. Then I get on the old camera and I can't wait to tell everybody, like, look what I found. Look who owns this. This is what they're doing to us. Oh, look, sports. Somebody had to put sports on the screen. DB Dogo says, LSU 5-8 FSU. 6:30 p.m. Central Time, ABC. I don't know if it was scores. I don't know. Oh, I think it's the ranking of the schools. My daughter goes to LSU and she actually came here today and she was like, the traffic's going to be so bad. I put her down for a nap. I put my 20-year-old daughter down for a nap so she didn't have to drive through the LSU traffic. So, Catherine Cathcart. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm trying there, Catherine. USDA loan buyer mortgage company sent back money in the contract to help fix my home to the seller after about a month. Do you believe sellers defaulted on the loan? We have no clue why. All right, let me read this again. The USDA loan buyer mortgage company sent money in the contract to the home to fix the home. The sellers after about a month to the sellers. So I guess what they were holding onto money because they didn't fix certain kinds of things at the time of closing. And they were assuming that those items were repaired and then send it back to the seller. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know if the seller defaulted on their loan. I have no idea. I would have to know their circumstances. I like here in the state of Louisiana, I don't know if they do it anymore, but I've had this happen quite a bit, is that we had like people that were contracted, like when they would do their inspection reports, they were supposed to have fixed certain things. Certain things were supposed to be remedied. Like the air conditioning was supposed to be done. A roofing contractor was supposed to replace some shingles, and they needed an electrician out there to fix the floodlights. And then it gets to the day of closing, the day before we're supposed to close, and they've done none of it. And there he is on the roof that day, like replacing shingles, when it clearly stated on the contract that it needed to be a roofing contractor. And anybody who's doing this, make sure that when you're doing your inspection reports, require it being done by a professional, and they have to provide the receipts that it was completed by the company or the licensed professional that was supposed to be doing it. Because a lot of times, not that people want to, not that they want to lie or anything, but people lie and they'll fix those items themselves. But if you didn't ask or require them to provide a receipt, they don't have to do that. So if it's somewhat repaired, then it was good enough. But you should be specifying that it needs to be a licensed and insured professional, and they have to provide a receipt at the time of the final inspection. If they can't do that, then you can withhold those funds. In our state, you can withhold the funds at closing until either A, it's been done, or B, they provide that receipt. So sometimes like there's title offices that have held tens of thousands of dollars because the seller refuses to send a receipt over, and the buyers are like, I don't know what to do, So you can even contract that out. Is if it's not completed by X date, then the $10,000 that was being held by the title company goes to the buyers. Or you can word it in so many different ways, but make sure you work with a experienced real estate agent that understands that and knows how to fill out those inspection report forms. I always tell everybody, and everybody should know this, that the most important thing that you're dealing with when you're doing a real estate transaction is that contract. It may look super simple with all the lines you have to fill out, like, oh, I just have to fill out a few little lines. There's nothing to it. But the verbiage that you use in that contract makes all the difference in the world. And that's true of the addendums, and that's true of your inspection reports and how that's filled out as well. Because when you get an inspection report form, there's one that's specified with your specific board. You should fill out those lines as well. Like I said, with like a licensed mechanic or a licensed HVAC, where they provide the receipts. Those little minor things that you don't think about make all the difference in a smooth transaction for you as a buyer. All right. JK says, do you know what the average debt to income ratio is for people who currently with a mortgage? No, I don't. I really don't, Jay. I have no idea what the average debt to income ratio is for current mortgage. I know that for renters right now, this is the craziest thing. It used to be, they said 20%, 27% of your annual income needs to go to shelter, a house, basically. And now like at the height was at 47%. People were on average were paying 47% for rent. That's insanity. That's insanity. Because if you're paying almost half of your wages to, you know what? Let me think. My brain. Hold on. So let me just put you this way. So we know this, like rent is ridiculous. 47% of your monthly income is going towards, housing. That's so ridiculous. There is a bunch of, bigwig billionaire executives that have the grand solution. And do you know what their grand solution is? Their grand solution is to create a workforce housing, right? So they're going to build these houses, and instead of paying 47%, we're going to bring it back down to 30%. And they're going to allow you to rent from them. So your income won't, you don't have to worry about it, because your income is going to be, the same, but you're going to be paying less on housing because they're doing you a big favor. They're doing a big favor by building this housing so you could work and live under the umbrella of your employer. What do you think about this? I want to get your opinion. Put it in the comment section, and we'll put some of the answers up on the screen. So the average debt in 2022 was $101,900. Total credit card debt currently is over $1 trillion. Golly. So the average credit card debt is $5,733. Man, those credit cards. I don't know if you've ever been on the hamster wheel of credit cards. I was many, many years back. And once I got out of that debt, I was like, never again. Never again. Average debt in 2022, mortgage debt was 230. That's like the total average of a mortgage is 236,000. We owe less than that on our mortgage, Eddie, and that's a plus. Average auto loan debt was $22,612. Average monthly new car payment is what? The average new car payment loan, monthly car payment is $736. The average car payment is $736. So let me pick my mouth up on the floor. Holy cow. The average monthly use of a car payment is $520. For a used car is $523. For a used car, it's $523. Holy cow. Wow. All right. And you put some of those comments about the corporations owning houses and you rent from them for less money than 47%. I want to know if anybody. Yeah. I mean, I just turned in my lease and I'm buying a car, and it's a used car, and it's a, do you know what a Nissan Cube is? My neighbor happens to be selling his mother-in-law's car. And I was like, how much are you selling it for? And he tells me, and I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it. I bought it. I'm buying it. So, because I don't want a car payment. Forget that, Will I look absolutely ridiculous? Absolutely. I'm going to be driving around in my little Cube. Peter says, I just rented a house that used to be as an employee housing. Yeah. If you worked in an area that was like temporary, temporary work area, that makes sense. But no way am I living under the company store. They did this years ago. They had whole mining towns that they worked at the mine and then they lived in the the company housing. And then when the company folded, these people had nowhere to live. Oh, this is such a bad idea. You have to be 100,000. Yeah, like you're right. DJ Plus says you got to have a like $100,000 truck in order to have those car payments. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I have a toaster on wheels. I'm getting a toaster wheel. It's years ago. I used to have a Scion. What is it? Toyota Scion. Love that car. Love that car. And then Eddie got it. And he's like, I feel like a clown in this car. He didn't really like it. He ended up driving it until he didn't want to drive it anymore. He drove it for many years, but I wanted my car back. New trucks are $75,000. Do you remember when a house was $75,000? I do. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. You can get a used house for $75,000. That seems like a better investment than a car that after 200,000 miles, you got to turn it in because it doesn't run anymore. I don't know about asymmetrical automobiles. It's just a cube. I'm going to keep it. I don't. So Elon Musk was one of those ones that was the first one to whisper about this affordable housing. He's like, well, I'm going to solve the affordability crisis for, my employees because there isn't enough affordable housing in the area for the employees that work for me in Austin. This is for his SpaceX. And he, came up with this like little subdivision idea. And he's working with, I think he's working with Lennar. I could be completely wrong, but I believe it's Lennar. And originally he said he's going to like work with a mortgage company and they're going to have low interest mortgages for the people that work for the company. But then now that's all changed. They're all going to be rented, but they're going to be rented for a lot lower than the median cost of rent in Austin. And I'm like, what if you get fired? How many days do you have? Like you get fired and evicted on the same day. You get fired and evicted on the same day. What if you get fired, but you have a job lined up somewhere else? Do you get evicted then? Like it just seems like a really, really bad idea. Eddie, you already put this question up on the screen. Da, 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 da. Marcus says, how long do you think it would take new construction to build enough homes to match demand? Well, Marcus, I always say if home builders would get on the same path as we were even after World War II, to invest in more modular construction, because homes could be built so much faster through modular construction. So what happens is that a lot of these like little rooms are made in a factory, which is all environmentally controlled, right? So they build these little cubes that connect together like Legos. So all that would need to be done was prior to that is all the dirt work and the concrete pads. And those could be done fairly quickly. The biggest hurdle for most developers and home construction is the red tape with the bureaucracy to have so many of these little things approved, right? If we cut out some of that regulation and red tape so that some of these houses could be built, we could really honestly within 5 years solve the problem. Modular construction, less red tape, and and I will say like some of the rezoning needs to be done too. There's a lot of areas that are zoned commercial that could be zoned residential. And then a lot of the areas that are zoned commercial could be multifamily units as well. But it can be done. It's just that everybody for some reason, they make it seem more complicated than it is. And a lot of it is just a lot of people flapping their lips because they don't want it done. For some reason, it really feels like they genuinely don't want it fixed. When you're behind the scenes working on some of these projects for, let's just say, homeless communities, affordable housing communities, it's a lot of people that really want to get their name in the paper, their picture taken, say or use it for some political campaign that they're working on this project to help solve the affordability crisis. Then when you're actually a part of the meetings, nothing gets done. It's just a bunch of people saying no, 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 no. And then they have the balls and they have the fundraisers and all this stuff, and nothing gets done. Years down the road, still nothing is done because you have a bunch of naysayers. And I almost feel like it's some kind of facade. It feels like they never really want to get it fixed. Not that doesn't that sound like something I've kind of dealt with a little bit of experience on? Because it is. And that's how it felt. 100%. Yep. If you're planning on building a home, is it better to find the land first or the builder first? Well, sometimes the builder has pieces of land that they're already holding on to. So if it was me, I want to find out, I want to find the land first. And I want to find out, because I know enough about buying land and what you need to have done to a piece of land to know if it's a good piece of dirt for the money. So if you're planning on doing that, if it was me, I would find the land first. But while I was looking for land, I'd be looking for builders at the same time. I would be literally doing that at the exact same time. If you're working with a real estate agent, they're probably connected with a bunch of builders in the area too. So, and find out what their time frame is, because some of these builders, their time frame, they're like, oh yeah, we can get it done in four months. And you're like, what other projects are you working on right now? Are they been done in 4 months? Something smells a little fishy there. Yeah, I have a friend that they were trying to get their home built for over a year. It come to things moved down the road, and you know what? They never even got their house built. They ended up buying a manufactured home because they couldn't get it done. The first builder made them all the promises in the world, made everything sound so good. They sold their original house. They couldn't wait. Nothing was getting done. And they had to work to get their money back. And it was ridiculous. So make sure you do a thorough investigation of your builder who's doing your project as well. Da-da-da. Next question, hit water door, please. Even if it's a comment, we'll put that up on the screen. Comment. What you guys doing for Labor Day? You guys doing a cookout? Are you relaxing? Put in the comment section. Let me know what you're doing for Labor Day. When are you going to write that book, Kristina? Not that I have a ton of time on my hands right now. That's for sure. Years ago, I wrote a book, but it wasn't about real estate. I just wrote a book. Real estate builders in our area has built homes that have sat on the market for over a year. They're now for rent. If they don't rent, is the builder on the hook for the payments? Is there a forbearance? Depends on what the loan is that the builder did on his projects. A lot of times they're not coming out of that money out of their pocket. They're usually have some kind of loan on the pieces of property, so they have to pay on them. So I've seen some of the larger builders, big ones, like the big dudes. I'm not going to say their names because I'm not going to get in trouble, but they've been selling large tracts of their houses in developments to investment firms like Tricon and America Homes for Rent. Basically build to rent. The builders don't want to be in the hook for these homes, so they're selling these large tracts to rental companies so they can just walk away from that specific development. A lot of developers also will own the HOA until the whole development is completely closed out. And they're just HOAs are expensive to run, so they're wanting to get out of it. So they'll sell all those houses at one time to investment firms. Not a very good look for a subdivision to have a large tract of homes that are all rentals. And if you're looking at brand new houses, I want you to look at their covenants, their restrictions, to see how many homes in that neighborhood can be investment type properties. How many homes can be considered rentals? We have it in our neighborhood. You can't have more. I think it's 15%. Yeah, 15% of the homes in this neighborhood cannot be they just cannot be rentals. So anyways, Need to sleep. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye, Crow Homestead. You have sweetest dreams. Sweetest dreams. Oh, somebody said they're sleeping for for Labor Day. That's a good day to sleep. Yeah. Go watch some Netflix. Yep. Going to the YouTube rabbit hole. Oh, what are you going to look up? My most recent thing to be looking up is there's this YouTuber family who just got in massive trouble, and she gives parenting advice. And what she did to the parent, the kids, is just horrifying. So that was the rabbit hole I went down. Like, I think it was 2 nights ago. I couldn't sleep, and I was like, "What's this?" And then I was just like, "Oh, this is 3:00 in the morning. I need to go to bed." Yeah, sleeping is my favorite hobby. I wish I could do that as a job. If that was a job, all of us would be at least doing that part-time. Sleeping. Lawnmower says 7-mile hike tomorrow. It was raining and thundering this morning. Oh, well, you can do all the walking for me. I don't like doing that. It's sweating and all that stuff. I don't want to do it. Probably watch DVDs as usual. All right. Marco Polo says cooking a barbecue on Labor Day. Good for you. I want crabs. I would love to have some crabs. That'd be awesome. We've got a bunch of stuff marinating right now. Living in Arizona says, do you think that we will see many home buyers get in over their heads using all the creative financing, low down payment programs, like low down payment adjustable rates hurt last recession? That depends on the requirements and the restrictions that are in those programs. So, if obviously you've been in real estate for a hot minute, you know that back in 2008 or before that, anybody who wanted a mortgage could have gotten a mortgage. All you had to do is come in with a pay stub and a checking account and a legitimate phone number and say, I want to buy a house for $400,000. And they were giving people houses. Like when my husband and I were approved for our first house, they said we were approved for a $350,000 house. We knew we couldn't afford that. But I mean, you tailor the right kind of loan and you can afford it, because they would do those interest only type loans. Well, I mean, obviously that isn't the case now. They don't do that anymore. I don't think it could be a problem as long as the restrictions on those loan programs and the type of people that are approved for them is kept in check. That's what I'll say about that. Cantrice Williams says, question. You just have questions? Oh, there he goes. You talked about not needing a realtor. Is it true that I can find a title attorney to help me find out about a house that I may be interested in? I think a title attorney, like in our area, they would only be able to tell you like what they paid on their taxes, who the homeowner is, and they could help you write your real estate contract. But they wouldn't be able to tell you anything more than that. They couldn't like let you into the house. They wouldn't be able to do like that kind of thing. They wouldn't be able to do that. Question, rural South New Jersey, and I can't put a basic modular 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a basement and a septic. Well, on my own land for under $250,000. The base model is $156,000. Do you think that sounds accurate? Yes, it does sound very accurate. The thing that most people don't understand is that like modular homes in their truest form are no different than a traditional built home, other than in most cases, if they're done correctly, they're actually built to better standards than a traditional stick built home. So like, you just think of that as how much is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house without land? Typically, how much does that cost? It's probably going to be a lot more than that. So yeah, that does seem correct to me. If it's a true modular, just be very careful on what you're purchasing it and who you're purchasing it from. Make sure they don't use any like weird verbiage where they say it's a modular hybrid, or it's a prefab modular, because sometimes that means that it's not actually a modular home at all. It's just they're just using that they're how do I say this? They're like misinforming the word. They're reusing the word incorrectly to make their product sound better. Because obviously it doesn't meet modular standards. So they're trying to make it sound like it does, or it's close enough, which is not good. Not good at all. Excuse me. Eviction of the previous homeowner. Where can I find in the laws in my state in New York? What is it? What is legally mine in the house after the lender repurchased the home at the auction? Unfortunately, if you're the renter, you have no rights to what was in the house afterwards. I mean, you can sue the home seller for that. I know here if I was you, I'd call the state's attorney's office and ask them. I don't know where you could find those laws in your state, but from what I know here in my state, once it's done, everything that's in that house, they just throw it onto the road. Whether you're a renter or not, if you're a homeowner or not, they just throw it out on the road. They say they gave you plenty of notice. You didn't do it. So it's gone now. I've even seen it like after like 2008. I bet you living in Arizona saw this too, where they would have houses that had beautiful, like flat screen TVs, beautiful furniture. And the people like picked up in the middle of the night and left because, they couldn't afford their home. And there they are with gigantic dumpsters. Instead of like bringing it to Goodwill or any of these other like places, they just literally just threw everything away, whether it was brand new or not. Some stuff was still in boxes and stuff, just threw in the trash. Craziness. Shenzhen says, question, how do you feel about insurance issue of canceling coverages for fires, hurricane damage will affect local housing markets in those areas? Okay, so I actually did a video about this, and it actually really concerns me for places that have a lot of natural disasters, like here in South Louisiana. The people of Florida right now, I can't even imagine, but most states have something called citizens insurance. It's way more expensive than your traditional home insurance. Some people are going to be forced to sell because, like, I'm just going to give you a perfect example. If on average, the average homeowners insurance in the United States is around $1,700. In Florida right now, the average homeowners insurance is $6,000. A lot of people don't have that kind of money. So some people are going to be forced to sell. But I think the people that will pick up the pieces are the ones that either have a lot of money or investors, and they'll just rent out of those houses for an exorbitant amount of rent to cover their costs. Or they won't even, if they're investors and they bought it cash, they won't even put insurance on them. They'll just say, go ahead and get your renter's insurance. We're not insuring this house. They don't have to because they bought it cash. Still waiting for a crash. Tech 1,200. I will tell you, a lot of people have been waiting for a crash, and I've maintained the same reason that I do to this day. Unless there's some other economic collapse of some other market where a lot of people lose their jobs, I can't see the housing market getting any better unless we have a humongous boom in home construction. We just do not have enough homes for the amount of people that currently need them. And I think one of the other things that really just ticks me off, because I even got a message about this, I think it was from Debbie Brady. There are investment companies that use homes as a tax write-off. So they'll like buy whole little areas of apartment buildings and say, well, we couldn't find a renter for that. So now we're going to take a deduction from the rent because it now is like, deduction of cost because we couldn't get those apartments filled up, knowing damn well they could have, but it was actually more beneficial to them to say that they couldn't so they could get a tax write-off. That should be illegal. What's your favorite brand for making iced tea? Oh, Louisiane sweet tea. Yep. That was an interesting. Oh, look, Eddie even rolled it out. Yep, Louisiane tea. That's the best one you do. And if you guys really, totally off the real estate thing, but here you go. If you get a pitcher, a big pitcher, you take 4 Louisiane tea bags. You tie them together. You cut off the little paper things. You throw them in there. Then you do 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Put that at the bottom. Boiling water only halfway. Once the boiling water's sitting there, you let it seep for a good 20, 30 minutes. Pull out your tea bags, wait for that to cool out on the counter, and then fill the rest up with cold water and then stir that up. Best tea, best sweet tea. I'm a sweet tea aficionado. I love it. My kids always are like, my daughter even came home from school. She's like, can you make me a couple pictures of sweet tea? And yeah, sure I can. Yep. Question. Looking to move to Rapid City. We're from Michigan. Should I buy land and put a home on it or buy? Looking around 300,000. Thanks. I mean, there's so many different factors, Kathy. Are you looking to stay there for how long, what period of time? Are you only going to stay there for 4 years, 5 years? Or are you looking to live there for a lifetime? Are you looking for your forever home? If you're looking for your forever home, I would build, like I'd build a house that I want forever. Make sure that that's, like have everything that I want so I can die in that house with everything I need. But I don't know what the prices are in Michigan either. I haven't even looked at them in that area. But yeah, just you would have to do a little pros and cons list with your significant other if you have one to see if that's something you really want to do. So Sharon Pope says, is a VA loan at 4% something a buyer would be interested in? And assuming my balance is 240,000, payment is around 1,230, but the buyer would have to pay the difference to the selling price, which is 365. I'm in 55 plus in Florida. Well, first of all, it's an option, right? So whenever you're doing your MLS sheet, you can we can check off when you're doing your listing. It says what kind of loans that you will accept in their offer, and you can say conventional. I'll accept conventional. I will accept VA. I will accept RD. You just check those off, and then you can have it as an asterisk, like we have an assumable loan. This is how much the balance is, and this is how much would come out of the seller's costs. And you would show the actual list price of that. And you could actually have that in the MLS as a sheet to show the balance between them. You'd be surprised how many people are like, you know what? I'm 55. I just retired. I have that kind of money. I would rather do a 4% than a 7%. You'd be surprised. So, I mean, it was just you don't have to sell it that way, but it's an option to somebody. I would put it out there if you're willing to do that. You can do that with VA too. I would have that as an option for someone to purchase it. I would be surprised if it didn't sell that way too, because there's so many people that are retired military that retire to Florida. And I bet you they have that kind of nest egg just ready to put down, Tea, iced, forget it. PG tips all the way. I agree, Jerry. That's what's in my cup right now. Matter of fact, PG tips. Yeah, I like sweet tea on a hot summer day, and we've had plenty of those. But I honestly, even on the hottest of summer days, I drink more hot tea than I do anything else all day long. I'm surprised my kidneys haven't failed me yet. Those people that drink coffee all day long? I drink tea like that. Totally drink tea like that. I've had my fair share of Long Island iced teas. Don't ask my dad about that. He'll tell you a horrible story about me and some Long Island iced teas in Hawaii, by the way. Yeah, it's your forever home. I would build. If it was me, I'd find a piece of land and I'd build my dream home. That's what I would do. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know your financial situation whatsoever, but I would find a piece of dirt and build the house that you want, that you're going to stay there for the rest of your life, that you'll be happy with. Nothing is worse. Nothing is worse than looking for a house, not getting what you wanted, and just compromising. You're just like, all right, I'll just take this, I'll just take this. And then every year, every month, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, you're just going to be like, I knew I shouldn't have gotten those you just complain. Like you end up hating and resenting that house for years. Like it is the worst, especially when you close on your house and then your friend down the street ends up getting a house and they has everything that you wanted and they paid less than you did. Then you're like, yeah. Where do I get such big cups? Amazon. I get them from Amazon. I need to put them in the show notes. Everybody asked me about my mugs. Yeah. Oh yeah, Annie, I like some Earl Grey tea also. That's my afternoon tea. If I'm gonna do Earl Grey, it's always around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And do you know what's really good? If like so in this big cup, right, with your Earl Grey, you throw in one Earl Grey tea bag, then you throw in one PG Tips tea bag, and then I'm telling you, oh, chef's kiss, so good, so good. There are people that state that it's too hot for coffee. Those people are not to be trusted. Yeah, it's never too hot for hot tea either. So, oh yes, just a smidge of sugar because Earl Grey's a little sweet. Yep, yep. Mr. Thomas says, since the pandemic started with people that managed to refinance in their houses with low inventory, do you see the crash going on? I do. So, Mr. Thomas, though, this is one of those things that I was very concerned about at the beginning because so many people had done their forbearance, right? They some people were calling it foreburned, which I thought was pretty funny. So what they could do is they could offset their payments. So for that period of time, whatever it was, they could offset their payments for a year or two. But what happens is those payments just went to the end of their loan. So and then they pick back up whenever they said, hey, yeah, let me do this. I thought that was like a recipe for disaster. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, especially how some of them had restructured this as, well, whenever you pick back up and paying it, you owe us a lump sum of that money that you missed, right? But that's not how this worked. This worked where they just took those payments and moved it to the back of the loan. So let's just say you didn't pay your mortgage for a year. They went ahead and just moved those payments even longer. So now you're financing for another 31 years. And there were some associations to that. Some of them actually redid their loans during that time as well. But once everybody's fell off that program, they went back to paying their mortgage just like they always did. There was like a record number, like even more than they had expected, that had taken the forbearance. And then just as many went back right to making their mortgage payments right away. And they're like, once the program completely ended, it didn't make the foreclosure numbers go up that much. We're just now at foreclosure numbers, like pre-pandemic. Foreclosure numbers are right at they were pre-pandemic, which is still not alarming numbers. The tea guru. just the one type of tea. I really I like just regular like PG Tips, regular tea. Is this the proper tea podcast? It should be. It should be. I should bet. Mega pint mug. Oh my word. Yeah, I know. It's big. I know. I like big cups. Yep. Okay. Since you mentioned it, how do you keep your tea in that ginormous mug piping hot? Do you have it on a heating pad or what? Induction heater? This is probably the grossest thing about me. I mean, this will take me about an hour. And of course, by the time it gets to the bottom, it's room temperature. I don't care. I'll still drink it. I know that's like horrifying to some people, but after an hour, I get down to the bottom and I'll still drink it. Lawnmower always says this. He says that the cup is normal size, but Kristina's very tiny. I'm just a hair over 5 foot, just a hair over. All right, everybody. I hope you guys have a fantastic Labor Day. It's been fun hanging out with you. It was just me. My voice is starting to run out. But I really appreciate everybody spending your Sunday with me. And I hope you enjoy your day off and you have some barbecues and get that sleep. Maybe watch a good movie. I watched The Call of the Wild, about a dog who has a wild adventure and he ends up in Alaska. It was the best movie. Saw it last night for the first time. I strongly suggest it if you want a good animal movie. And then my husband and I watched the movie Megan, which was absolutely terrible, but we knew it was. My husband says it's the best movie that he's ever seen because it was just so horrible. So anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day off. I'm excited to see you next week. I don't know if we'll have a guest. I'll let you know. If we don't, I'll let you know that as well because you'll just see my gleaming face. If you don't know yet, I actually have this as recorded as a podcast. You're more than welcome to listen to this on your way to not going to work tomorrow and anywhere you get your podcasts. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. so long. Thank you, moderators. My husband always reminds me. Thank God. Thank you, moderators. You guys are the best. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Everybody dance that out. We're going to dance it out.